Waverly Hills.
Waverly Hills.
Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
One of the most haunted places on Earth.
Back in the 1800s, there was a man that owned the ground where Waverly Hills is. He had an only daughter, and she was educated. And she decided that she would like to have her own school once she got a little older. So her father came up to this hill where the building's at right now and built a small one-room schoolhouse and let her teach school to the local children. And she decided that she would name the building Waverly, and that was for her favorite author. And from there, that's how Waverly Hills first got its name of Waverly.
I lived in Kentucky for a year but never visited Louisville. It's strange to think I missed one of the most chilling landmarks in the state, Waverly Hills Sanatorium. The place is more than just a crumbling hospital. It's a haunting reminder of human suffering, desperation, and unfortunate deaths. Waverly Hills opened its doors in 1910, built specifically to combat the deadly tuberculosis epidemic sweeping the country. At the time, tuberculosis was known as consumption, a disease that slowly suffocated its victims. The sanatorium was perched atop a hill outside Louisville, chosen for its fresh air and isolation, thought to aid healing. But despite those hopes, the building became a mausoleum. Designed to house about 400 patients, Waverly Hills quickly filled with men, women, and children diagnosed with tuberculosis. The building's architecture reflected the medical thinking of the time: large windows, fresh air balconies, and isolation rooms. Yet, the halls echoed with the coughs of the dying. Many patients arrived knowing they had little chance to survive. The sanatorium became overcrowded, and the atmosphere was grim. Death was constant. To manage the sheer number of fatalities, staff constructed the infamous body chute, a tunnel running down the hill that allowed the dead to be discreetly removed from the hospital without alarming those still fighting for life. One story from a nurse's diary tells of a young girl named Mary, whose family never visited. Isolated in a cold corner room, she would write letters to her imaginary friend, hoping for comfort. She passed away quietly one night, her faint coughing the last sound anyone heard. Her spirit, they say, lingers still in that wing. Another harrowing tale comes from the hospital's tuberculosis wards, where patients were placed in cages, small screened balconies, meant to provide fresh air but also to isolate them. Many spent weeks, even months, confined to these cages, living in agony and solitude, their faces etched with despair. As decades passed and antibiotics were discovered, Waverly Hills' role shifted. The hospital closed in 1961, but its walls held memories no one could erase: the suffering, the screams muffled by time, the souls who never found peace. I never walked those halls, but knowing their history chills me. Waverly Hills isn't just an abandoned building. It's a monument to lives cut short, to pain and isolation, and to a time when death was always just one breath away. The silence that now hangs over the place is not peaceful. It's the quiet of 1,000 lost voices begging to be remembered.
The Trans-Allegheny
Lunatic Asylum.
It's the home of one of West Virginia's most haunted places.
Some folks had a fantastic experience and some folks did not. It was not always sunshine and rainbows. We don't try to even pretend like it was. There were a lot of negative experiences here as well.
Nestled deep in the mountains of West Virginia, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum stands as a towering monument to a forgotten era of madness and despair. Built in the mid-1800s to house 250 patients, it eventually imprisoned more than 2,400 men, women, and children within its stone walls, crammed beyond capacity, left to suffer in silence. The asylum's founder envisioned a place of healing, but overcrowding, neglect, and outdated treatments turned it into a nightmare. Patients endured horrific conditions, forced isolation, physical restraints, and treatments like cold baths and lobotomies. Many were labeled insane for what today would be recognized as trauma, depression, or epilepsy. Families abandoned their loved ones here, lost in a system that prioritized control over care. Stories from former staff speak of long corridors lined with padded cells where screams echoed day and night, and a padded room reserved for the most unruly patients became a chamber of endless torment. One haunting account comes from a former nurse who described a young woman named Clara, committed for hysteria. She reportedly disappeared without explanation, only to be found years later locked in a basement cell, starved and forgotten. Clara's tragic fate is just one of many hidden in the asylum's shadowy past. The asylum finally closed its doors in 1994, but the scars remain etched into its crumbling walls. The silence that now fills those vast halls is broken only by the echoes of forgotten screams and the restless memories of those who suffered here. Would you have the courage to walk these endless corridors, knowing the walls have witnessed so much pain? The shadows of the asylum still linger, waiting for those brave enough to listen. In the quiet town of Athens, Ohio, the old Athens Lunatic Asylum stands as a grim reminder of a darker past. Opened in the late 19th century, this vast institution was designed to care for the mentally ill, but soon became a place of overcrowding, neglect, and suffering. Built with the hope that fresh air and natural light could heal, the asylum quickly became overwhelmed. Originally meant to hold just a few hundred patients, thousands were packed into cramped, decaying wards. Many were sent here for reasons far removed from true illness, simply for being different, outspoken, or misunderstood. Treatment was harsh and often cruel. Patients faced painful electroshock therapy, long isolation in tiny cells, and confinement in the infamous restraining ward, where the most violent were shackled and locked in cages. Nurses spoke of desperate screams piercing the night, cries for freedom that went unanswered. Many never survived. The asylum closed in the late 1990s, but its legacy lives on through the ridges, a modern mental health facility built on the same grounds. Yet, even as care evolved, the shadows of the past refused to fade. Locals still tell of eerie noises, flickering lights and abandoned wings, and ghostly figures wandering the old halls. Athens Lunatic Asylum wasn't just a hospital, it was a tomb of forgotten souls, where pain and silence became eternal companions. Would you dare to walk these halls, knowing so much suffering still lingers beneath your feet? Don't forget to like the video, hit subscribe, and stay alert, because sometimes, the dead aren't the only ones watching, and the darkest horrors hide where you least expect them.
All right, the time has come. For decades, people have come from around the country to experience the supernatural allure of Eloise in Westland.
Eloise Asylum in Westland, Michigan, began in the 1830s as a poorhouse but eventually grew into one of the largest psychiatric hospitals in the United States. At its peak, it sprawled across 900 acres with more than 70 buildings.
What you need to know about Eloise, more than just the haunting memories of a mental hospital, is this was once a city unto itself. Eloise was originally the Wayne County poorhouse, but grew to more than 75 buildings across 900 acres. In addition to the general hospital, it had its own police and fire, dairy and pig farm, bakery, even a school for the kids who ended up here.
Operating almost like its own city. It had its own post office, police force, bakery, farm, and even a power plant. But beneath that self-sufficient exterior was something far more disturbing. Thousands of patients lived and died within its walls, many buried in mass graves across the property. More than 7,000 souls were laid to rest there, most without names, only numbered markers to identify them. The treatments given to patients in Eloise's prime still send shivers down the spine. Reports of electroshock therapy, insulin shock, and lobotomies were common, often administered to patients who had no real voice in their fate. As overcrowding worsened, dignity vanished. Patients became statistics, and whispers spread that some were never seen again once they entered certain locked wards. Eloise's chilling reputation was so powerful that it even inspired Hollywood. In 2017, the horror film Eloise was released, borrowing the asylum's name and its aura of death.
I hate to be the one to tell you, but your father has passed.
1.2 million falls to you, but a small complication has arisen. His sister was committed to Eloise Insane Asylum, but she was never released. We have to have proof of her death.
I have to get this death certificate from that mental hospital, Eloise.
That place burned down like 30 years ago.
The movie spun a tale of cursed medical records, vengeful spirits, and dark secrets sealed away in the hospital's ruins. While fictionalized, it echoed grim realities: the tunnels beneath the grounds, the endless halls, and the countless unmarked graves. Many who visited the asylum since swear that what Hollywood portrayed wasn't far from the truth. Today, only a few buildings remain, but visitors claim the air is heavy, thick with despair. Shadows are said to move across windows at night, footsteps echo in hallways that should be silent, and the cries of the forgotten drift faintly on the wind. Even standing outside, people feel as if the asylum is breathing, waiting.
Rolling Hills Asylum.
Rolling Hills Asylum in Genesee County.
Rolling Hills Asylum in East Bethany. It's known as one of the most haunted places in Western New York.
Imagine walking into a hulking brick building, its windows dark, its halls echoing with the faintest trace of footsteps that aren't your own. This is Rolling Hills Asylum in East Bethany, New York, first opened in 1827 as a poorhouse, later converted into a hospital and nursing facility. Inside, more than 1,700 souls are said to have perished: the forgotten, the sick, the insane, and the abandoned. The asylum was built to be self-sustaining. Residents farmed the fields, baked bread, and tended livestock. Those who could not work, the sick, the crippled, the disturbed, were confined to cold, echoing wards. The building grew into a hospital and nursing facility, yet its reputation only deepened with sorrow. The morgue became a place of routine, as if death were simply another task of daily life. Among the residents was Roy, a gentle giant abandoned to the poorhouse as a teenager because of his extraordinary height. Standing over 7 feet tall, he lived out his days here until his death in 1942. Locals remember him as kind but lonely, and many believe his towering shadow still roams the halls, a figure impossible to mistake. Today, Rolling Hills is open for tours, its peeling walls and empty rooms offering a glimpse into lives the world tried to erase. Visitors walk past the old chapel, the wards, and the morgue, hearing whispers of footsteps that never seem to fade. History clings to the building like dust, refusing to be forgotten. Would you dare step inside, knowing the dead are still waiting to be remembered? Stay alert, because not all of Rolling Hills residents have left.